Hare Krishna, I welcome all the devotees to Bhakti Sangha Jepa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavananda Prabhu ji to enlighten us on topic Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 4.11.23 onwards. Hare Krishna Keshavananda Prabhu ji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining and giving your valuable assertion, Prabhu. We are very fortunate to have you on the call today, Prabhu. Please take over the call, Prabhu.
Yeah, you can hear me nicely?
Yes, Prabhu, fine? We can hear you.
Fine. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And to all the devotees, thank you for listening today on this call. And I think we are going to discuss 4th canto and 11th chapter and 23rd verse. So I would like to speak that verse and then we can discuss on it. I like to speak something on it. So this verse goes like this. Before that, let me speak some invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is 4:11:23. Avyaktasya apramyasya nana shakti udasya cha navai chikirshitam tata ko veda atha swasambhavam. Srila Prabhupada writes in the translation to this verse, the absolute truth, transcendence, is never subject to understanding of imperfect sensory endeavor. Nor is he subject to direct experience. He is the master of varieties of energies, like the full material energy, and no one can understand his plans or actions. Therefore, it should be concluded that although he is the original cause of all causes, no one can know him by mental speculation. So this is 4:11:23, and I'm going to read now the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada writes, the question may be raised, since there are so many varieties of philosophers theorizing in different ways, which of them is correct? The answer is that the absolute truth, transcendence, is never subject to direct experience or mental speculation. Prabhupada uses two words, direct experience or mental speculation. The mental speculators may be called Dr. Frog. The story is that a frog in a 3-foot well wanted to calculate the length and breadth of Atlantic Ocean on the basis of his knowledge of his own well. But it was impossible task for Dr. Frog. A person may be a great academician, scholar, or professor, but he cannot speculate and expect to understand the absolute truth, for his senses are limited. The cause of all causes, the absolute truth, can be known from absolute truth himself, not by our ascending process to reach him. The sun is not visible at night, and when it is covered by a cloud in the day, it is not possible to uncover it, either by bodily or mental strength or by scientific instruments. Although the sun is there in the sky, no one can say that he has discovered a torchlight so powerful that if one goes on the roof and focuses torchlight on the night sky, the sun will then be seen. There is no such torchlight, nor it is possible. The word evakta, unmanifested, in this verse indicates that absolute truth cannot be manifested by any strain of so-called scientific advancement of knowledge. Transcendence is not subject matter of direct experience. The absolute truth may be known in the same way as the sun covered by a cloud or covered by night. When the sun rises in the morning in its own way, then everyone can see the sun, everyone can see the word, everyone can see himself. This understanding of self-realization is called Atma Tattva. Unless, however, one comes to this point of Atma Tattva, one remains in darkness in which he was born. Under the circumstance, no one can understand the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is equipped with varieties of energy as stated in Vedic literatures. He is equipped with the energy of eternal time. Not only does he have material energy, which we see and experience, but he also has many reserve energies that he can manifest in due course of time when necessary. Material scientist can simply study the partial understanding of varieties of energies, and he can take up one of the energy and try to understand it with limited knowledge. But still it is not possible to understand absolute truth in full by the dint of material science. No material scientist can foretell what is going to happen in future. The Bhakti Yoga process, however, is completely different from so-called scientific advancement of knowledge. The devotee completely surrenders unto Supreme, who reveals himself by his causeless mercy. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, the Lord says, I give him intelligence. What is that intelligence? Yena Mamavyantite. The Lord gives one intelligence to cross over the ocean of nescience and come back home, back to Godhead. In conclusion, the cause of all causes of absolute truth, or the Supreme Brahman, cannot be understood by philosophical speculation, but he reveals himself to his devotee because the devotee fully surrenders unto his lotus feet. Bhagavad Gita, therefore, to be accepted as a revealed scripture spoken by the Absolute Truth himself when he descended to this planet. If any intelligent man wants to know what God is, to study this transcendental literature under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, then it is very easy to understand Krishna as he is. So this is a beautiful verse, by the way. There's a lot of philosophy in this verse. But before I comment on this, let me just offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Prashadishtarine. So, here is this verse, and Srila Prabhupada mentions in the it is very easy to understand Krishna as he is. That's the whole point there. The whole point of this verse is how to understand Krishna as he is. That's the whole point. And what do we mean by understanding Krishna as he is? That's another question. What do we mean by to understand Krishna? What do we mean by I want to understand Krishna? So what do you understand by the word understanding? What do you mean by understanding? When we say I want to understand God, then what do you mean by that? That's another question. But the first question is, let's deal with the first question. How do we know Krishna as he is? How do we understand Krishna as he is? So this verse deals with this question. And before dealing with this question, how to understand Krishna as he is, this verse is first trying to make us understand that you cannot understand Krishna by your own limited intelligence and your own limited mind. That you cannot do. First we have to understand this, and then we can understand how to understand Krishna as he is. Because it's simple. I mean to say, it is said an arrogant man cannot learn anything. You know why? Because his ears are small and his mouth is big. He's not ready to listen. That's the whole point. He thinks he can understand everything. And a proud man thinks like that. I can understand everything. So once you have that mental setup that I can understand everything, then you will not understand anything. You have blocked yourself for new knowledge. You know what you know, and that you know, and that's all you know. That's all. Any new knowledge you block. Because you think, right, you already know things, so you don't need anybody to listen, and you don't need to listen to anybody. That's the whole point there. So that's why Upanishads and Vedas and Srimad Bhagavatam, before telling us how to understand Krishna as he is, they first tell us that you cannot understand Krishna by your own limited strength and mind. Now the question is, why we cannot understand Krishna by our own limited strength and our own limited mind? Why is that? I mean to say, Hiranyakashipu said, well, I will understand Krishna. Even scientists, today Prabhupada course, even scientists, many scientists, not present scientists, but before Newton, who were scientists and philosophers. I mean to say, before Newton and Einstein, especially before Newton and Galileo, they were not called scientists. They were called natural philosophers. And they said, well, we will understand this material world. We will understand the laws of this material world, and we will understand, if there is God, then we will understand God by understanding these laws. We will do it. Hiranyakashipu was also thinking the same thing. I will understand God. But I mean, Hiranyakashipu went another step forward. I will understand him, and then I'll destroy him. You have to understand your enemy first before destroying him. And that's why it is also said, anybody who tries to defeat his enemy without understanding it, the enemy, he will be destroyed. That's said in Niti Shastras. And that's the same for illusion. If you want to destroy illusion, which is your enemy, you have to understand illusion. It's a simple fact. If you're at a war, you have to understand your enemy, where he's stationed, how many troops he has, what kind of attack he's going to make, and then you make your own strategy. Otherwise, you will be finished. If you just go without doing any research and without understanding your enemy and nothing, just go in the battlefield and try to do some erratic actions and try to just start fight, you will be just finished. So similarly, the point is, if you want to understand God or Krishna, first you have to understand that by a limited strength you cannot understand him. But the whole question is, why by a limited strength and a limited senses and a limited mind I cannot understand Krishna? Why is that? Why is that? Well, I can increase my knowledge, I can make my senses perfect as much as possible. Hiranyakashipu was thinking that, and then I will understand God. But Srimad Bhagavatam says, no matter what you do, it's impossible to understand him. Even if you become perfect, even if you remove all your faults, still it's impossible. If you can remove all your faults, that's another presumption or assumption, whatever it is, another premise. So, okay, why we cannot understand God? Here's the question. Now, the answer is given by Srimad Bhagavatam. No matter what you do, you will not be able to understand. Why? Because of two reasons. And the verse says, avyaktasya apramayasya. Because of two reasons. Because God is avyakta and apramaya. These are the two reasons there. So, the first reason is God is avyakta. Now avyakta means so anyway, if anybody asks you this question, why we cannot understand God, why you cannot understand God, why anybody cannot understand God, why scientists cannot understand God, even if they advance their science, and so even if they become very advanced in science or any logician, why they can't? Because of these two things, avyakta and apramayasya. Now what are these words? These simple words. Avyakta, Srila Prabhupada writes in word translation, the unmanifest, and apramayasya means the transcendence. Two words. Now what that means? Avyakta means vyakt means which can be seen, and avyakta means which cannot be seen. So avyakta, the first reason we cannot understand God, no matter how much we advance, no matter how much perfect we become, no matter how much precision, no matter how much logic we have, we simply cannot. Why? Avyakta. He cannot be seen. Avyakta means he cannot be seen. Now what do you mean by seen here? Seen here means he cannot be perceived. He cannot be perceived by our own senses. He cannot be perceived by our senses. That's impossible. So avyakta means he cannot be perceived. That means uh, he is not subject to direct perception. Prabhupada writes in the purport. We were reading. By a perception, uh, he is not subject to a perception. No matter, even if your eyes are perfect, still you cannot see him because he cannot be seen by your eyes. Simply. Just like, for example, even if your eyes become super perfect, still you will be unable to see. Srila Prabhupada gives example. Still you will be unable to see sun in the night. You'll be unable to see sun in the night because there's no sun. No matter what you do, you'll not be able to see the sun in the night. Or, for example, even if your ears become super perfect, you will not be able to hear some kind of vibrations. Some things are beyond human range, isn't it? Like supersonic, ultrasonic, they're beyond human audible range. So similarly, even if your senses become perfect, you will not be able to perceive God because he's avyakta. He cannot be perceived by our senses. He's beyond that. It's simply put it like that. Like for example, can anybody see through his ears? Well, you might say maybe, but it's not possible. No matter how much your ears become perfect, you cannot see through your ears. It's impossible. So similarly, is with all the senses. That's the meaning of avyakta. That's the first reason that we cannot understand God. Avyakta. Avyakta also in Sanskrit means bewilder. Actually, this is one of the name of Vishnu, by the way. One of the name of Vishnu is Avyakta. So Avyakta, one of the in Vishnu Sahasranam, one of the meaning of Avyakta is bewilderment. So, in other words, why we cannot understand God? Because when we start to understand God, we will be bewildered. Why will we be bewildered? Because Nana Shakti Udyasya. Because he has so many energies, so many qualities. He is unlimited. And that's why you will be bewildered when you try to understand him. He is unlimited and he has so many energies which are working in a very contradictory and opposite fashion. And it will be very difficult to understand him because he has all contradictory qualities. And that's why it is said, the more you try to understand, this example is given of the sea. Now somebody says, so suppose somebody asks you, how much water is there in the sea? Now one way is you measure the amount of water in the sea, but that's simply impossible. So what you do is you go on the beach and then you see the sea. Then you drive a ship, you sit on the ship and go inside the sea and go in between the sea and you travel the sea. And then you say, my God, there is unlimited water. How do you know that there is unlimited water? You didn't see the entire sea, but you saw the sea and you traveled in the sea, and then traveling and seeing so much water, then you came to conclusion, my God, it's unlimited water. A child on the beach, if you ask him how much water there is in the sea, he will say, okay, some water. And Prabhupada gives example of here gives example of two examples, Dr. Frog and the sun. Now, for this unmanifest, God is unmanifest. Prabhupada gives example of the sun. Now, sun you cannot see in the night. This is what I was explaining. Sun you cannot see in the night, and in the day when it itself rises, then you can see. No matter how many torches you have, no matter how many lamps you have, you'll be simply unable to see sun. It's impossible. Until unless sun wants to show himself in the morning, he cannot do anything. You have to wait. That's all. That's why one of the reasons you cannot understand God is He's avyakta. Avyakta means invisible. Avyakta means bewildering. He has so many energies, so many contradictory qualities. You'll be bewildered. You'll not be able to understand him. And avyakta also, uh, uh, so avyakta also has another meaning. Avyakta means he. Vyakt means vyakt means to explain. Avyakt means which cannot be explained. So avyaktai gatir dukkha, avyaktai gatir dukkha, that verse is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. It cannot be explained, it cannot be grasped by your explanations. That's one meaning of avyakta. And that's why another name of Krishna is apramaya. And there's another reason you cannot understand God. Apramayasya. One reason is invisible, he's bewildering. And another reason is apramayasya. Apramayasya means now this word apramayasya is, it comes from the word pramaya, and pramaya, uh, you see, there's one book written by Baldev Bhushan, Pramaya Ratnavali, and he describes what is pramaya. There are two things, praman and pramaya, and the third word is pramiti. Praman, pramaya, and pramiti. So what's that? So pramaya means the object which is to be proved. Now, if you want to prove something, that something is pramaya. So if you want to prove that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, if you want to prove, so that 4 is pramaya, you want to prove 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So the object of proof, the thing which you want to prove, is pramaya. Let us put it like that. And how to prove that? You need evidence. The evidence which you use to prove that thing, that is called praman. Praman means evidence. Evidence. And the way you prove, and the way you use praman to prove that thing, that is called pramiti. The process of proof is called pramiti. Now let me give you an example. It's simple example. Suppose you find a murder. Suppose you go in the house. Somebody's murdered now. Now somebody's murdered, okay. So you have to prove that whether murder happened or didn't happen. So the object, the thing you have to prove is murder, whether it happened or not happened. So murder is pramaya. And how to prove that? Now you find a knife there. You found a evidence. So knife is a praman. Okay. But now you have, that's praman, okay, evidence, knife. Or you might get some purse there of a person and find the name. That's a praman, that's evidence. Okay, this person used this knife. Now that person is evidence, that knife is evidence. So okay, so how did the murder happen? So well, you think, well, that person's purse is there and the photograph address is there and the knife is there. So that person might have used that knife to murder that person. That's a process of murdering, which is called as pramiti. So that's how we define these three terms. Very philosophical terms, which are used in Nyaya, logic, and that's why Bhagavatam is using Nyaya or logic to glorify Lord. That's how it goes. And Bhagavatam names Lord as Apramayasya. Well, so before I go into this name, so I think this is clear. Pramaya is the object of proof. Praman is a evidence, and pramiti is a process. How you use that evidence to prove that object. So Now, one of the names of Krishna is Aprameyasya. So Aprameyasya means Krishna is not an object which can be proved. Krishna is not an object of proof. He's beyond proof. He's beyond logic. That's the whole point. Aprameya. 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 He's beyond logic. He's beyond proof. That's why one of the name of Krishna is Aprameya. And that's the second reason why you cannot understand God. Because no matter how much intelligence you apply, no matter how much logic you apply, no matter how much mathematical proof you bring, you cannot simply understand Krishna. So you see, this is very interesting because for this Prabhupada gives example of Dr. Frog. Now we all know that story, Dr. Frog. Frog is in his well and he thinks, well, so somebody asks Dr. Frog, what is ocean? How much water ocean has? Dr. Frog says, well, you see the amount of water which my well has, maybe ocean has double the amount of this well or triple. That's what he's saying. But then one fine day, one of his friend, he goes out of the well, goes to the Atlantic Ocean, and he comes back and he says, Dr. Frog, there is so much water that millions of wells will come in that ocean. Millions of our own well will come in that ocean, and still the ocean water will not finish. That Dr. Frog simply laughed, and he couldn't really imagine it. That's Dr. Frog. So it was impossible for Dr. Frog to even think how much ocean water has, how much water ocean has. So that is why Aprameyasya. This is how philosophers, logicians, and academic theologians, they are like this. Theosophists, they try to speculate, a mental speculation. They try to give evidences, theology. Okay, whether God exists or not. What is a proof? So if you read philosophy, there are many proofs of existence of God. But, well, God is beyond any proof. That's the whole point, beyond any logic. He's beyond any proof, beyond any logic. He is simply achintya. He's inconceivable. You cannot conceive him, let alone understand him. That's what he is. That's called aprameyasya. So you see, why you cannot understand God? Because of these two reasons. Avyakta, that means invisible. He is not perceivable by our senses. He is not graspable by our senses, no matter what you do. And the example of this Prabhupada gives is of sun. So in the night, you cannot see sun, whatever you do. How many torchlights you have, how much your eyes is perfect, you do whatever. You make perfect instruments, perfect eyes, perfect everything, still you'll not be able to see sun. It's impossible. That's how God is. And when day comes, sun rises, and then you can see. So that's one reason we cannot see God. And Prabhupada gives example of sun, and the Prabhupada gives example of scientists who are trying to understand God, who are trying to see God, directly perceive God. Prabhupada gives example of scientists in this Avyakta. Scientists are like that, who are trying to see God by the instruments, but they will be unable to do it, no matter how much they advance, no matter how much their physics advances, because God is Avyakta. Okay. Second reason you cannot understand God, because of aprameyasya. Aprameyasya means he's beyond proof. And Prabhupada gives example of Dr. Frog here. And Dr. Frog, who try to understand the water in the ocean but has limited intelligence, or he cannot. So similarly, and Prabhupada gives example of, so who are these people like Dr. Frog? Philosophers and logicians. So the whole point is, why you cannot understand Krishna? Krishna, why you cannot understand Krishna? Because he's beyond senses and he's beyond mind and intelligence. That's what the whole crux is. He's beyond senses, gross senses, and is beyond our mind and intelligence. Is beyond gross body and is beyond subtle body. Our gross body and subtle body cannot perceive him. Uh, the question is why? So the answer is Nana Shakti Udasya, because God is having so many energies. Prabhupada says so many energies. Some energies are working and we can see, like material energy and time energy, and some many millions of energies we cannot see, we cannot experience. Parasya Shakti Udasya, that Vishnu Smriti, Vishnu Puran Prabhupada quotes. There are so many energies. Parasya Shakti Vividhaik Shruvate, Prabhupada quotes that. Krishna is unlimited. Some things he reveals, some things he doesn't. Prabhupada says scientists can perceive this material energy and time energy. But there's so many energies Krishna has not revealed. What you can do? What they can do? And Prabhupada says even this material energy and time energy, scientists can understand partially and not fully. And that too, when they try to understand partially, they can understand by their defective senses and defective instruments. So how can they even hope to understand God? They cannot even understand His energies. How can they understand energetic God? So that is why Krishna is called Avyakta and Apramyasya. That is why. Because he has so many energies. Even his energies are unfathomable. What about him? This is what Bhagavatam says. And because we cannot understand God, one thing we can never understand. Navai chikirshitam tata. Chikirshitam is planning. His plans or actions, no one can understand. Because God is beyond our understanding and beyond our direct perception, we'll never be able to figure out how he plans, how he works. It's impossible. And that's why, you know what, Rupa Goswami speaks one of the qualities of Krishna as, there are many qualities of Krishna in Nectar of Devotion. One of the qualities is grave. He's very grave. A grave person means a serious person. Now, a serious man doesn't mean he's not laughing, he's not joking, because Krishna is not like that. I mean, to say everybody knows Krishna. Krishna is always joking, always laughing and playing. He's naughty, especially in Vrindavan. He's naughty. Let's admit it. He's not like Vishnu, who is always serious. He's always playing and frockling and naughty. But then Rupa Goswami gives one of the qualities of Krishna, grave. Now, how does it fit? Grave means serious. Now, what that quality is doing with Krishna, especially Vrindavan Krishna. If Krishna is serious, that we can probably adjust that quality in Mathura Krishna or Dwarka Krishna. But Vrindavan Krishna, you cannot imagine. Because Rupa Goswami writes the book Lalit Madhav, Vidagdh Madhav. That means clever Krishna. He's very clever, he's very cunning. He's always devising plans to give enjoyment to his devotees. So what's happening? What's that quality of grave? Why Rupa Goswami says Krishna is a serious personality? Why? Because seriousness has nothing to do with the appearance of that person. It's not that this person is serious. Why? Because he's always quiet, he's always standing in the corner, and we never saw him smiling. And that's why he's serious. It's absurd. Rupa Goswami says a serious person, a grave person is that whose actions and whose plans nobody can understand. And that's Krishna. His actions and plans nobody can understand. And no one can understand. We just told, because he's avyakta, apramaya. He is beyond our direct perception, beyond our mental and intelligence capabilities. He simply put it beyond us. That's all. Why? Because he's unlimited. He's having unlimited energies. And he works in unlimited ways. And we cannot understand. You see the point there? When Krishna plans, his planning goes in millions of years. Our planning goes in 50 years, 100 years. Okay, we plan like that. Okay, let's do LIC policy. So, in old age, it'll be good for us. Maybe health insurance. In old age, it's good for us. Maybe for children, some policies. Okay, after 50 years, they will get triple amount. But when Krishna plans, how he plans? Okay, let's do something now, and after 1,000 years, I will use this incidents after 1,000 years to do something else. Now, how can you understand his plans? Because the time scale is so big. Okay, let's send a rishi in this yuga, and then after 7 yugas, we will send another rishi who will actually explain the purport of this rishi who is come now. Now, how do you understand that? It's impossible. Because at least one thing we can we cannot travel in time. At least one thing we cannot do, at least presently. In fact, physics says that's impossible. You cannot go in future, at least according to physics. Let's put it like that. Physics has proved we cannot go in future. We can go in past, maybe not, who knows, by using wormholes and whatever science. But future, you cannot do that. So even scientists admit that. So you cannot know his plans. It's impossible. Even Brahma cannot understand his plans. Who are we? And Brahma says, Jananti eva jananta. Brahma says, anybody who says that they understand plans of God, let them say. They are simply childish. As far as I am concerned, I cannot understand his plans and his works. What Krishna does, you can't understand by your logic. That's impossible. Now, now at least one thing is there. We all devotees are in plan of God. For everybody, Krishna has planned something. Non-devotees can never understand, of course. What about devotees? Devotees cannot also understand his plans. If you cannot understand God, you cannot understand his plans. It's as simple as that. So, that is why Prabhupada says, Kovayatha swasambhavam. That is why Srila Prabhupada says that you should surrender to him. Surrender to him. You should do what he says. Surrender unto him. That's the whole point. Now, here's another question. Okay. So first question we dealt, why you cannot understand. Why you cannot understand God. Okay, now I cannot understand God. Fine. So automatically the next question is, how to understand him? Is there any way? This is a natural question, isn't it? When you're convinced you cannot understand God, is there any way to understand him? So, Prabhupada says yes. And swasambhavam ko veda atha swasambhavam. And the whole point is you can understand God by bhakti yoga. That's the whole point. You can understand God by bhakti yoga. And Prabhupada defines what is bhakti yoga, by the way. Prabhupada says bhakti yoga means surrender. Surrender. And what is the meaning of surrender? That's the whole point. You can know God by surrender. Surrender means surrender in one word means you depend on Krishna to know him. That's surrender. In one line, you depend on God to know him. You don't depend on any other process. You don't depend on your own energy, your own intelligence, your own senses to know him. You depend on him to know him. Or in other words, surrender means you know Krishna through Krishna. That's surrender. That's all. What's that? Bhunam janmanam ante jnanvan patyate. Vasudevam Sarvamiti Samhatma Sudurlabha. Oh, sorry, that verse. Manushyanam sahasreshu kashidati siddhaye tatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatha. Out of thousands of people, one is aiming for perfection of life. Out of thousands of those who are aiming for perfection of life, kaschin mam veti tatvatha. Only one knows me. Now the whole point is, who is that one? That one, out of thousands of people who are trying to know Krishna by different processes, by yoga, by science, by logic, only one knows Krishna. Who knows Krishna? Who tries to know Krishna through Krishna. That's the whole point. Now, this is technically called as surrender. Is technically called as where sadhana and sadhya are one. That's surrender. Where the means to achieve ends are the same. And in simple words, surrender is, Krishna, I am your servant. I surrender to you. If you wish, you please make yourself understand me to me. If you don't, then fine. Still, I'll keep on serving you. I will not use any other process. I will not take any other. So I will not take shelter of any other thing to understand you. It's up to you. It's up to you. If you want to raise me up, please raise me. If you want to make me fall down, please make me fall down. If you want to keep me happy, I'm fine. If you want to keep me unhappy, I'm fine. My happiness and unhappiness is at your lotus feet. That is surrender. That is surrender. And through this surrender, we can know Krishna as he is, and that's called Bhakti Yoga, by the way. Srila Prabhupada says that's called Bhakti Yoga. Srila Prabhupada says when devotee completely surrenders into Supreme, who reveals himself by his causeless mercy, then he will reveal. When we will leave all other shelter, when we will leave even shelter, when we will lose confidence in everything else except Krishna. We have lost confidence in meditation, we've lost confidence in yoga, we've lost confidence in science, we've lost confidence on ourselves, on our abilities, and then we say to Krishna, Krishna, please accept me. It's up to you. That's all. And in fact, even if there is a process to understand you, I will not accept it if it is not connected to you. That's all. I'm not going to do that. That is, so actually this happened. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was having a headache. When he was writing this book, Jaiv Dharma. If you have read this book, Jaiv Dharma, it's a pretty complex book. And he was having continuous headaches. And one tantric came and he said to Bhaktivinoda Thakur that, are you having headaches? So I will give you a mantra, a Kali mantra, and it will just finish in no time. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I don't want. I better die, but I will not chant mantra of Kali. That is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There was one Alwar in South India, and people said that well, you are a great singer. So why don't you sing? At least one verse for Lord Shiva. You are a Vishnu devotee. At least sing one song, one verse in the praise of Lord Shiva. He said, you know what? You cut my head, but I will never sing even a single praise on Lord Shiva, because I am servant of Vishnu. That's what a devotee is. That's called surrender. So when a devotee fully surrenders to God, then Krishna reveals himself. Now the whole process to understand him is when he reveals, we will be able to understand. That's why Prabhupada uses that example of sun. When sun rises in the morning, then we can understand what is sun. In the night we can simply speculate and we can try to use our torches, but we'll not be able to understand what is sun unless we see it, how much bright and what kind of thing it is. No matter how much anybody explains us also, sun is like this, like this, like this. But until he reveals, we cannot do that. And that is why the concept of revelation is there. Revelation. Krishna reveals himself. In Christianity, if you go, there is this big concept of revelation. God reveals himself to his devotees. To whom? Devotees who surrender to him. And what do you mean by surrender? The meaning of surrender is devotees have full confidence in Krishna, that only Krishna will be able to make himself understand as he is. That's the whole point there. Only Krishna will be able to make us understand. Devotees have full confidence that only through Krishna we can understand Krishna. That's the whole point. So our process is that we try to understand Krishna through Krishna. How? Holy names is Krishna himself. So we chant holy names, we read Bhagavatam, which is Krishna, we honor Prasad, which is Krishna, we associate with devotees who are embodiment Vaishnavas, who are representatives of Krishna. So we are actually associating with Krishna, by the way. All around us we are associating with Krishna always. And by the power of Krishna we attain Krishna. We understand him slowly. That's a process. The means and ends are the same. We are totally dependent on him to attain him. If he doesn't want, we are happy in that. We are okay. If you don't want, fine. We'll just rot in this material world. If you don't want us to attain you. If that's your wish, I gladly accept it. That is surrender. That is surrender. So that's how we understand God. Now you see the point. Now you see the whole verse there. You see the whole verse. The whole question was, Prabhupada was saying that it is very easy to understand Krishna as he is. That was a question. To understand Krishna as he is, how to understand God as he is, that was the first question. To solve this question, how to understand Krishna as he is, we first have to understand that we cannot understand him. And then the question arises, okay, I cannot understand God, so then how to understand him? Otherwise, we will not even entertain the question how to understand God. You will not entertain this question, how to understand God. If you are not hungry, you will not ask for food. As simple as that. Where is food? Where is food? You come from the office in the evening and you have not eaten anything since the entire day, and then you ask your wife, well, where is food? I'm very hungry. Where is that? Your wife says, in the kitchen. And you go in the kitchen and you find, where is it? And you shout, where is it? And the wife says, okay, in the fridge, in the kitchen. And you open and then you're trying to search and then you can't find, and then you shout from there, where is that food? And then she says, you see on the third rack, there's a box, pink box, and there is chapatis and dal for you inside. And then you take out and eat. But if you come from your office and you had a full day party in your office and you ate a lot, and then you come back, you will not ask for food. Even if your wife says, my dear husband, your food is prepared, you say, okay, fine, I'm going to sleep. So the whole point is you have to be hungry to ask for food or to search for food. Similarly, if you want to understand God, you first have to understand that you cannot understand by your own power, your own intellectual strength, your own perception. That's impossible. Your own proofs. And then you will develop a need to understand him. And then you will develop the need to understand him by some other way. That's the whole point. And then there will be a need to surrender to him. Okay, let me surrender to him, because I am simply unable to understand him. So that's how we understand him. Okay, so that was the first question. And the next question which I raised was, what do you mean by understanding him? Okay, by bhakti and surrender, you can understand him. Okay, fine. If you surrender to him, Krishna will reveal himself to you when he becomes happy, when he thinks you are ready, when he thinks you are pure enough to handle his darshan, to handle his revelations, his gifts, to perceive his gifts. Then he will reveal himself slowly, his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Uh, till the time we have to keep on chanting, till the time we have to surround ourselves inside out by Krishna. We have to chant his name, that's Krishna. We have to honor Prasad, that's Krishna. We have to surround ourselves with devotees who are representatives of God. We have to read Bhagavatam, that's Krishna. And slowly, Krishna will work. Okay, but and then slowly you'll understand God. He will reveal himself. What do you mean by understanding God? That's a big question. I mean, that's a very big question. Now, what do we mean by understanding God? Now, this question is a little complicated because what do you mean by understanding Him? Well, somebody might say, okay, understanding God means understanding His form, His qualities, His pastimes. I daily hear His pastimes. I daily read His qualities, and I daily meditate on His form. That means understanding God. But that's not enough. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam aveti tatvatah. That's what Krishna says. Krishna says, know my birth and activities. Veti, know, try to understand. Tatvatah, through tatvatah. He uses the word tatvatah. He doesn't simply say try to understand my qualities and pastimes and my birth and activities. He says know it, understand it. Tatvatah. Tatvatah means, tatvata is a very technical term. Tatvata means try to understand the essence of my name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Whatever I'm doing, so many incarnations, whatever qualities I have exhibited, try to understand the essence and the essence of all these. Why Krishna is doing so many activities, why Krishna is exhibiting so many qualities, so that we can understand. I mean, we have to understand why he's doing all these things. That's called tatvatah. Tatvatah means why. Why? Try to understand what. Try to understand why I'm doing what. Why I'm doing all these things. Why he's doing so many incarnations. Why he's dancing with the gopis. Why he's playing with his friends. Why he's speaking in such a manner. Why he's exhibiting so many qualities. That why has to be understood. And when you answer this question why, then you get the essence of understanding Krishna. Then you understand Krishna. Why? And that's common sense. I mean to say common sense. Why why Earth is rotating around the sun. Science, we always ask why, isn't it? Science is all about why. Science is not about what. What is not science only. Science is about why mostly. So what you see, but why is this happening? Phenomena. The why behind the phenomena. So in fact, there are many books tell me why. I used to read in my childhood, tell me why. So that's tatvatah, why, the essence. So that is the meaning of understanding God. We have to understand why he's doing what he's doing, and then we can go in the essence. Why he's lifting over the hill. What is happening in his mind? What he's thinking? What he's thinking in his mind, so that he's lifting over the hill. That's the answer to the question why he's lifting over the hill. And then you can enter the mind of God. When you enter the mind of Krishna, which is Krishna himself, by the way, then you can understand him fully, isn't it? That is the meaning of understanding Krishna. To understand any person, you have to understand his mind. So when you say, I understand that person fully, that means you understand his mind, his desires, and then you can say you understand him. So you cannot say, okay, I know his address, I know his name, I know what he did last year or last 4 years, and that's why I've understood him. No, you've not understood him. To understand a person, you have to understand his desires and his intentions and his feelings, and that's where wife understands the husband. And wife can claim only, I understand my husband better than anybody else. No one else in this world knows this husband better than me. Why? Because she understands his desires, his feelings, his intentions, his thoughts, everything, his personality. And that means, that is the meaning of understanding God, Krishna, as he is. You see the point there? There's a slight difference there. So simply to know his pastimes and qualities and read them, that's not enough in itself. We have to do that exercise, but then we have to go deeper and have to answer the question, why. So this is how we have dealt two questions today. How to understand Krishna as he is, and the next question was, what do you exactly mean by understanding Krishna? And to entertain the question, how to understand Krishna, we brought another question, can we understand God, Krishna? And the whole lecture went like this, that so when we answer the question, can we understand God, Bhagavatam says no. And Bhagavatam gives two reasons for that, avyakta and apramayasya. And when we understand, okay, I cannot understand God by my limited intelligence and strength and perception, then the need for next question comes. Now, how to understand him? Is there a way? Is there a possible way? And then the verse says, yes, the point of bhakti Prabhupada brings. Yes, by devotion and surrender. And then we explained surrender, and God reveals himself just like sun. And then we said, okay, fine, by bhakti we can understand him, by surrender, fine. But then what do you mean by understanding him? And then that's the question we answered. What do you mean by understanding him? And the answer was Tattvataha. The meaning of understanding God is, you ask the question why in his name, form, pastimes and qualities. And then you get the understanding. You understand the desires, the intentions, the feelings and thoughts of God. By reading, by actually analyzing his pastimes and qualities. And then that's the meaning of understanding God. So this is what is this verse about. A beautiful verse. And once you understand his thoughts, his desires, his feelings, then you will be able to understand his plans and actions also. What he's going to do to a limited extent. Not even in that condition, even not fully, but you will be able to understand what is his plan for you. Then you will be able to understand. To a certain extent, what is his plan for you? And when you start understanding things, then you get enjoyment, isn't it? You go to some place and you don't understand any damn thing. You don't understand where are you don't understand people around you, you don't understand how they're behaving. You get perplexed and bewildered and you get frustrated and you want to run away from that place. But if you're in a place, but if you're in a home, but if you're in your home, you understand everything. Where, what is there, who is there, what everybody's thinking in your home about you, then you are at peace. Then you get enjoyment. When you see a movie, if you understand the movie, you get enjoyment. If you don't, you get bored. So when you start understanding God through devotion, so in the real sense of understanding, the why part, then you get enjoyment and bliss in devotion. Then you get real taste in devotion, and then you can do devotion whole life. Otherwise, devotion will be a burden. And that's what this verse is all about. This verse is inspiring us to actually understand Krishna as he is. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'll just stop here. Is there any questions or comments? I'll speak on that. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. I have one question. So I'm just wondering, like, how do I create that desire to understand, like, to understand the why?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is a good question, by the way. That's a very good question. And the way to do is that's why you see the one way is sadhu sang. We must associate with devotees who are in this real sense of understanding. That's one way, association of devotees, and that's why bhakti is all about, association of devotees. You have to associate with devotees who want to understand him in the way real understanding has to be done. The part of devotees who raise this question why and try to answer this through scriptures. And another way is if we read Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Gita in this Viveti Tatvatah, if we read in this mood of analyzing what Krishna has done, in the mood of answering the question why, we will find the answers there. You see the whole point. We read Bhagavatam and Gita and other pastimes of God mostly as entertainment. We do like that. Okay, Krishna is nice. He's playing, lifting Govardhan Hill and this and that. And that's very nice. I mean to say, that's not bad, but that's not the whole story. That's very superficial. Krishna doesn't want that. Krishna wants us to understand him. And the point is his desires, his feelings, what he's doing and why he's doing. So that will happen if you read that book in that mood. And when we approach Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's purport, Krishna book, in that mood, we will start perceiving the answers there. Answers are there. But the point is, we don't read it from that mindset. And because our definition of understanding God is, okay, know his pastimes, know his qualities, know his form, and we have understood. No, that's 50%. Rest 50% is Tatvatah. Why he is grave. Okay, he's handsome. Okay, he's clever. Why he's clever? Why he's clever? That's the whole point. We never ask this question, how we will see the answer. We never asked for food, how we will get the food. So our whole mindset of reading things, or our whole definition of understanding God is very different. And we think we have understood, but that's not the point. So these are two ways. You read in this mood of with this question, why always? Why is clever? Why is serious? Why is comedian? Why he lifted Govardhan Hill? Why he's dancing with gopis? Why he actually, why he was walking on the land of Vrindavan in his courtyard when he was 2 years old? Why he was wearing ankle belts when he was 2 years old? Well, you might think, well, he's a child and he'll wear ankle belts because Yashodama wanted that. That's very nice, but then why? Tatvatah, why? Krishna does whatever he does due to a reason. And that reason is linked up with his thoughts. He thinks something and he does. Isn't it? His activity is not frantic. And once we can understand his thoughts and his consciousness, that is called Krishna consciousness, by the way, to understand the consciousness of God. And that Krishna will reveal to you slowly. If we have that approach, he will show us the answers in the books. And then we can advance. So that's how we can if you start doing that, that desire will come. And because start finding things. That's how it goes. Is it fine?
Yeah, Prabhu, thank you. Just a follow-up. Like, I mean, I feel like if I scrutinizingly study in that like so much. I'll probably never be able to like finish the Bhagavad Gita because I still don't understand. But if I keep analyzing, if I keep scrutinizing the.
Actually, it's the other way around. You know what? It's the other way around. Generally, we think if we start studying Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam scrutinizing, then we'll never finish it because you're scrutinizingly reading. But the whole point is it's the other way around, because if we don't read scrutinizingly, then probably we'll never finish because we'll get bored up and probably we'll just leave and we'll just waste time. But if you read scrutinizingly, we'll get so much interest that you will finish even before you have expected to finish. Because once you get interest in anything, anybody can do anything if he has interest in that. Automatically things will move on. Then you don't have to read. Bhagavatam will call you. You don't have to go to Bhagavatam because you got interest in that book. And then you will be able to finish. You will be able to finish many times, by the way. Once you start reading, of course, the first time might be difficult. That's okay. The first time you might feel that you're going very slow. What will happen? I'll not finish or not finish. But no problem. First time, if you can do it, then you will be able to read it thousands of times, because then you'll become addict. Because now you have entered the spirit of Bhagavatam. It goes like that. So initially it might feel like that, but no problem. It will happen. It'll be very fast once we get that habit and we get in that spirit. Prabhupada says, read my purports, read every verse very, very scrutinizingly. Prabhupada says in Bhagavatam, first canto itself. But that's a way to do it. All acharyas are doing like that. All acharyas. Jiva Goswami has written Sandarbhas very scrutinizingly every verse he has dealt with. Chaitanya Charitamrita is all about scrutinizing the verses of Bhagavatam. All acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all of them. And they have finished Bhagavatam thousands of times. Because they have read scrutinizingly. That's why. Otherwise it would not have been possible. Otherwise, we can read once, then twice, then thrice, but then we get, okay, it's the same thing, it's boring, what's happening? And then we don't catch the spirit, and then things keep on dragging. And then we don't go in the depth. We don't open the layers of Srimad Bhagavatam, which are there, which we have to open and access them to go in the depth of Krishna consciousness of Krishna. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Dhanot Pranams. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very beautiful analytical class. So there's a question about devotee glorifying Krishna and not Lord Shiva. So in Bhagavatam, we see that Lord Shiva is glorified many times. Also in the conversations between Sati and Shiva and Dakshayani, that Daksha Yajna, and also when he drank the poison. And also we see that when we read Bhagavatam, we come to appreciate that all the demigods are exalted, especially Lord Shiva is an exalted devotee of the Lord, and we don't see them as competitors of Krishna. So in that sense, what is a devotee's mood towards Lord Shiva? Is it okay to glorify him?
Yeah, actually, these. First of all, I mean to say, glorifying Lord Shiva as supreme person, of course not. That definitely we are going to do. Mostly Alvars were against this fact, to glorify Shiva as supreme. They didn't want to do. First thing. Second thing, even if they don't have to glorify Lord Shiva as supreme, still they are not interested in Lord Shiva. Although Srimad Bhagavatam glorifies Lord Shiva in certain circumstances, just like this. So I think Prachin Bhari also, that circumstances also. as glorification of Lord Shiva. And then Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. There is a Rudra Sampradaya altogether who actually glorifies Shiva. There is a Rudra Sampradaya. Their guru is Shiva. That's another thing. So they have to glorify Shiva as guru. But the whole point is to glorify Shiva as demigod. That we don't do. As a supreme, definitely we don't do. That's an offense. And in the position of a demigod, we don't do. That's where Vaishnavism is against. We don't glorify any demigod. But as a Vaishnava, if you want to glorify, that can be done. Just like, for example, in Vedas, you have this Lakshmi Stuti. If you go to Sri Vaishnavism, in Vedas you will find Lakshmi Stuti. So it is said, well, you cannot chant Lakshmi Stuti. You can't chant because for that you have to chant in proper meter, you have to get training, and then you have to be Brahmana, and on the top of that, you have to find a proper time, you have to be pure, externally, internally, then you can chant that Lakshmi Stuti. But then, it is also said that if you chant that Lakshmi Stuti with devotion, as praise of Sri Devi, of Lakshmi Devi, just with devotion. So in order to praise her, then you can chant Lakshmi Stuti at any time without any consideration of purity, in any tone, in any meter, in any tune. You can do that. You can do that. So that is possible. So it's the same thing here. Shiva is a demigod. Shiva is on the post of a demigod. He is a demigod and also a Vaishnav simultaneously. So as a demigod, we will never praise him. Definitely not. Definitely not. We praise no demigods. We worship no demigods. But as a Vaishnava, we can. So Bhagavatam, when it praises Shiva, it does as a Vaishnava always. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in fact some acharyas, they say Shiva is not at all praised. The devotees are praising Lord Vishnu inside the heart of Shiva. That's the understanding of Sri Sampradaya, by the way. They are not praising Shiva. They are praising Vishnu in the heart of Shiva. And another understanding by Madhva Sampradaya is actually all these stutis which are for Shiva, Madhva says it is not for Shiva, it is for Vishnu, because all the names of Shiva can be translated as the names of Lord Vishnu. All the names of Shiva can be translated as the names of Lord Vishnu. But all the names of Vishnu cannot be translated as the names of Lord Shiva. There is one name of Lord Vishnu which cannot mean Lord Shiva, and that is Narayana. But all the names of Shiva can mean the names of Lord Vishnu. So Madhva says, well, it's not stuti of Lord Shiva, it's stuti of Lord Vishnu. So who says that's stuti of Lord Shiva? Externally, it might seem stuti of Lord Shiva. In fact, the stutis of Lord Shiva in Srimad Bhagavatam, people are singing in front of Shiva his stuti. Actually, they are not singing stuti of Shiva in front of Shiva. You see the point? Shiva will never like to be glorified in front of him. I mean, to say somebody is glorifying him. We also don't like as a Vaishnava. So if a devotee tries to glorify Lord Shiva, Shiva will not like, because he's also a devotee. If you meet a devotee tries to glorify you, you don't like it. Of course, if somebody is glorifying him as a demigod, his Shivites and all those people, he might say, okay, fine, that's a part of the game. But if a devotee glorifies him, he will not accept it, because amanena mandena. So then what happens? So devotee uses his name to glorify Krishna, Vishnu. And that's interesting to Lord Shiva, and that's interesting to devotees, because they're using the same names of Lord Shiva. They're using his stuti to glorify Vishnu. And that's Parokshvad. That becomes very enjoyable to Shiva and very enjoyable to Vishnu. And that's bhakti. to give enjoyment to Vishnu, and that's the most difficult thing to do. Simultaneously, you are using the stuti of Shiva to actually glorify Vishnu. So you are using Lakshmi stuti to glorify Vishnu. So if you are using Lakshmi stuti to glorify Vishnu, then you can chant Lakshmi stuti in any way. That's allowed, and that's there in Vedas. You ask anybody, you ask any Sri Vaishnava. So that's what is happening in Bhagavatam. That's why Bhagavatam is very complex, and that's see the whole point. Why this question? If you ask why, then there are so many secrets in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's how we explain the glorification of Lord Shiva in Bhagavatam wherever it comes. That's how we do that. It's clear?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So, to summarize, my understanding is when Bhagavatam glorifies Lord Shiva, they're actually glorifying Vishnu, who's in the heart of Lord Shiva. And also, when a devotee glorifies Lord Shiva as a devotee, because of Amanina Manadena, he doesn't accept it. But when the Shaivates say that he is a supreme, right? They don't see him as a demigod. For that matter, any person. There are other demigods also. Anybody who's attached to some form of worship of some devata claim that they are the supreme. But Shaivates have more shastra. They quote from various literatures to show that Shiva is the supreme.
Mm-hmm. So
how do we handle this in connection with Bhagavatam?
No. So what's the question? I mean, I just what's the question? Is there any question here?
So the question is like you said, Shaivates are worshipping Lord Shiva as a demigod, and that's part of it. But Shaivates worship him as a supreme Lord, and then they have the.
There are many Shaivites. Some Shaivites they worship Shiva as supreme Lord. Some Shaivites worship as demigods, him as demigods. I mean to say, it depends what is the meaning of Shaivite. In North India, Shaivites they're worshipping him as demigod. In South India, Shaivites means they're worshipping as supreme. So whatever they do, they're using some kind of stutis to actually worship him. So Lord Shiva, fine, he hears them, fine. I mean to say, that's what his job is, to hear his stutis from demigod worshippers and give them boons, and to hear stutis from Shaivites who consider him as supreme, because that's a part of his duty, because that's a part of the plan that he has to act as supreme, isn't it? And then they worship him, and then they go to hell. So that's a plan of Mayavadism, which was made up by Vishnu and Shiva together. So he's fine. But when the same stutis are offered to Vishnu to Shiva by devotees, they use the same stuti to glorify Vishnu in front of Shiva, and that's pleasing to Shiva and pleasing to Vishnu. So all those stutis in Bhagavatam, actually they are glorifying Vishnu, but they are using the names of Lord Shiva. So we are using the stutis of Mayavadis and the stutis of demigod worshippers to glorify Vishnu. And that's why if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, Prachin, Bhari and Prachetas, isn't it so they glorify Lord Shiva? You read that? And in that stuti it comes, you are supreme, and this, isn't it? It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But then what's happening? So actually the Vaishnavas, they are glorifying Vishnu by using the same stuti which is for Shiva. And that's why Shiva accepts it. Shiva is very happy and he blesses them with pure devotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. One more question. This is from the famous Loka Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. This was from one of the boys in the kids class. So the translation goes like this, that is it okay to ask this question?
You okay, thanks.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. and loving service unto the Supreme, unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So the question was, it says here that all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. That means it's not completely destroyed. So why the word...
Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. Prayeshu, isn't it? Almost.
Prayeshu is almost to nil, but it's not nil.
Yeah, because the whole, I mean to say, the whole sequence is when you do sadhana bhakti and all these things, that Shinvatam Sukatham Krishna Punyashravan, all those things, when you hear, then anarthas are almost destroyed, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu, and then irrevocable service to love of God is attained. Now why prayeshu? Because of two reasons. Because the first is, by sadhana you cannot destroy all anarthas. That's impossible. You can destroy almost all anarthas, and the last traces of anarthas will be destroyed exclusively by mercy of God. There is no role of sadhana there. When you are doing sadhana, then your sadhana is there and mercy of God is there. It's a mixture, because no sadhana can give fruits without mercy of God. So then almost all anarthas are destroyed. You are working, Krishna is working. Both are working together to destroy anarthas, to destroy illusion, which is from infinite lifetimes. Both are working together as friends. Krishna is your friend, you are his friend. Both are working together to fight against, to have a war against illusion. Okay, good. But so almost you have won the game. Almost you have won the war. But the last stroke, the last race, last stroke will only be by Krishna. You can't do that. That's why it is said almost destroyed, because it's talking about sadhana. Shinvatam Sukatham Krishna. And then it is said, okay, when almost destroyed, and then Krishna comes, and then he gives, by his mercy, he destroys the last traces of anarthas, which are impossible to destroy by your own sadhana, any kind of sadhana. They cannot destroy, and then irrevocable service to love of God, that's attained. So that is the reason there. That's why it said almost destroyed.
Yeah, thank you so much.
What's happening?
Can others please mute the phone?
Yeah, so it's clear, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for the beautiful explanation. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so well, anybody's asking question, or I think done.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just want to follow up on this conversation. One thing is it correct to say that, to worship a demigod, it automatically means that you are desiring some personal enjoyment that is independent of Krishna's pleasure, and therefore that is why we do not worship Lord Shiva as a demigod.
Yeah, definitely. That's why.
Okay.
That is one reason, and another reason is even if we don't have any desires. I mean to say, that's not possible, by the way. But in case, suppose if we don't have desires and we are worshipping demigod Shiva, then still devotees will not do, because devotees are not interested in anything except Krishna, and they're convinced by satisfying Krishna, everybody else is satisfied. So one reason, but of course, what you said, that's one of the main reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you have another reason in mind. What is that?
What's that?
You said that's only one reason, but I don't know what another reason
No.
would be.
So I just told so there are two reasons. One reason is because worshipping demigods automatically imply that there are desires.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do. That's one reason what you said. Another reason is even if hypothetically we think somebody is worshipping demigod Shiva without any desires,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really possible. But even if we take it for granted, still a Vaishnava will not worship Shiva because he's not interested. Vaishnava is not interested in anybody except Krishna, and he's convinced that if Krishna is pleased, everybody is pleased. That's all.
Okay. And also, sorry. Also, when we say that, a Vaishnava, he is worshiping Vishnu, that is in the heart of Shiva, right?
Yeah.
My problem is understanding, well, if it's only Vishnu he's worshiping, not Shiva, then why is he specifically worshiping Vishnu in Shiva's heart? In other words, Vishnu is in all living entities' hearts. So
No. This is a specific incident. In Bhagavatam, we see that prachetas meet Lord Shiva on the way, and then they worship Vishnu in the heart of Lord Shiva. I mean to say, when you encounter Shiva, then you worship Vishnu in Lord Shiva. That otherwise you don't do. Otherwise Vishnu is everywhere. So why do you specifically worship Vishnu in the heart of Lord Shiva? You don't do that. So that's how they do.
Point. That's my point. I don't understand this. That since he is everywhere, then why specifically?
Yeah. So prachetas met Lord Shiva on the way.
Uh-huh.
So when they were going in the forest, they met Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva came there.
Uh-huh.
So then they have to glorify. Then they glorified Lord Vishnu in his heart. And Shiva was happy, Vishnu was happy. Like that. Or for example, Markandeya Rishi, he was meditating on Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva came with Parvati. And then Markandeya Rishi saw Lord Shiva, and he praised Lord Vishnu in the heart of Lord Shiva. I mean to say, he could have also praised Vishnu only, isn't it? That's the question.
Yes.
He could have praised Vishnu and Shiva will be happy, everybody will be happy. But that's the whole point. To praise Vishnu is pleasing to Vishnu, but to praise Vishnu in the heart of his devotees is more pleasing to Vishnu. So he knows Shiva is a Vaishnava, and he glorifies Vishnu in the heart of Lord Shiva when Shiva is. So Shiva is also very happy because he is praising Vishnu, the Lord of his own heart, and by praising Lord Vishnu in the heart of Lord Shiva, in front of Shiva, Shiva experiences his own relationship with Lord Vishnu. And that is service to Vishnu and service to Shiva simultaneously as a Vaishnava.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes complete package.
Okay, so by praising Vishnu in the heart of his devotee, the devotee becomes pleased because, he is being reminded of his relationship with Vishnu. And then because that devotee is pleased, Krishna becomes pleased.
Yeah, right, like that.
Okay, so if I encounter let's say I just encounter some stranger in the road, right? And I'm remembering that Paramatma, which is Vishnu, is in the heart of this.
Really down to it.
Is in the heart of this stranger, who might not have awakened or even be aware of the fact that Vishnu is in his heart. But I myself am recognizing that Paramatma is in his heart, and I, somehow glorify, worship Vishnu. So, in that scenario, I guess Krishna will be pleased that I'm remembering him in this way, but since that stranger has not yet even become aware that Paramatma is in his heart, then that's as far as it goes, right? Or, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have to remember that Paramatma is in heart. That's all. You don't. Of course, we don't glorify Vishnu in his heart. We don't do that because he will not be pleased if we do that. First of all, he will say, "Come on, I don't have to do anything with Vishnu." First of all.
No, internally, I would say, not out loud.
Yeah. Of course. Internally, we do like that. Internally, we praise Vishnu in every particle, in every person's heart, and that's devotion, by the way.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to, make a contrast between, glorifying Krishna in the heart of a devotee versus glorifying him in the heart of a non-devotee. I guess that's what. Just trying to see what the difference in the effect or the difference in the result.
I mean to say, we glorify Krishna generally in the heart of a devotee, but in a non-devotee, we generally don't do that because Krishna's partial expansion, Paramatma, is there, and the person doesn't have a direct relationship with Paramatma, and Paramatma also doesn't have direct relationship. It's a very official kind of thing between Paramatma and that Jivatma. So we generally don't glorify Krishna, especially, or Vishnu in the heart of a non-devotee. We can glorify the aspect of Paramatma, but that generally we don't do.
So when we say that we are glorifying Krishna in the heart of a devotee, what we're actually doing, therefore, is glorifying their relationship.
Yeah, right. Of course, that's the whole point there. We have to glorify their relationship also when we are praising there. That's how it goes. So actually, that's a system. That is a system in Madhva Sampradaya. Their deity is Udupi Krishna, and when anybody glorifies Udupi Krishna, they glorify Udupi Krishna in the heart of Madhvacharya. Ananda Tirtha par Ananda Varda, the very famous song by Vyasa Tirtha and Vadiraj. In our Sampradaya also, we glorify Radha Damodar in the heart of Rupa Goswami, or Jiva Goswami Pranadhana Hai. We glorify Radha Govind in the heart of Rupa Goswami Pranadhana Hai. So we are glorifying the Lord, the devotee, and the relationship simultaneously. And that is why it is difficult to do that, because for that you should know God, you should know his devotee, you should know their relationship. That's a very complex and very difficult type of praise, which only perfected people can do. And that's why those kind of stutis are there in Bhagavatam for Paramahamsas.
Okay, this word stuti you kept repeating, but I don't know what it means.
Oh, stuti means praise, that's all. Glorification, that's all.
So, but you're saying that this kind of praise is not for us, then? It's not for, people who are...
No, we can do, but we cannot compose. Then we have to already read prayers, glorification of other devotees who have praised them. Because we cannot do it ourselves. It's difficult.
Okay. Well, we should definitely recite those that are there. Okay, much clearer. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And it was really a wonderful class today.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anybody having any more questions or comments for Prabhuji?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class, and we are very fortunate to have you on the call today, Prabhu. It was very, very beautiful class. I would like to offer obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas who are assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyav eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Yeah.
His Grace Keshavananda Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.